Well, hello there trainers, greetings, Kuroblitz here and welcome back to another video. Today I am here to discuss the potential of Arven debuting in the Pokémon Horizons anime and what could and couldn't tell for the events of the Scarlet and Violet games in the 9th generation of this series. So, as we all know, we are currently in the terrestrial debut arc of the Pokémon Horizons anime. It's the third one, and we are seeing a lot of Paldean characters, which makes sense because the games were already, concluded with the DLC of the Teal Mask and the Indigo Disc, and with that, the anime can already know what to pick and choose from the actual games. And apparently they decided to give the kids a training arc where they go to the academy, they battle gym leaders to show their potential with their starters, and they are going to prove their worth against the Elite Four on a tag team battle effort, which I think it's absolutely amazing. It's something that was never done with Pokemon, so I want to see how they do it, because we got Liko and Katie against Rika, Roy and Brassius against Hassel, and apparently it's Dot and Iono against Poppy. I think this has a lot of potential, and since Poppy is going to use her Tinkaton and Dot has Tinkatink, but she's going to battle with Quaxley. So I feel like this is safe to assume that maybe Dot's Tinkatink will either not evolve or just evolve into the second stage, that being a Tinkatuff. So when it comes to the other gym leaders, we have other people who maybe did this course. I am a firm believer that maybe Sango, who is obsessed with food, she probably had her battle with Kofu, and maybe Onyx with his Garganacl, he probably had a battle against Tulip. We saw Rhyme helping Roy and Fuecoco and even Watrel in episodes prior, so I think that she's going to be excluded from this. When it comes to Anne, I feel like Anne probably battled Grusha. There was no one who battled Larry, but Larry being both an Elite Four member and a gym leader, I feel like maybe he's going to be the one responsible for changing the Terra types of the Pokemon after this evaluation, which I think it will be very fitting. Now, when it comes to before tackling Arven, because I think this is important, Nemona has her role and she's fine as is, the same with Clavel, Jacques, Dendra, and even, who was the other professor, teacher that I'm not remembering? Clavel? Yeah, sorry, it was the director. I think this is very important to tackle because we are missing some teachers, and I think they are going to help Arven when Arven eventually debuts. But before Arven, I want to tackle Penny a little bit, because when Penny debuts, she's with the Elite Four, and she's out in the open, not shy whatsoever, but she has no lines of dialogue and she has no Pokemon to showcase, and I find that very weird. Given how Horizons started in April of 2023, so basically 5 months after the release of the Scarlet and Violet games, I'm very confident to say that this series is probably a sequel to the events of the games, but the events of the games didn't happen in the way that we played them. Case in point, the player character, Florian or Juliana, lives in the Cabo Poco house where Liko inhabits, so she's the protagonist, but she didn't went to the main character events, if that makes any sense. Which means that Nemona, Arven and Penny, they didn't connect with each other in this universe, if that's to be the case, and I think that's very interesting because Penny is now with the Elite Four, and in the games she does join Gita because of the hacking of the league points and whatever more to give the player. So maybe she accessed that, not to give the player, but to give her, more information, or, what was Team Star's whereabouts and something. Because she was 18 months in Galar, she took like a study sabbatical, right? When Harrington and Clavel, they had all of that stuff going on. So I believe that in the anime universe, Penny defeated Team Star by herself with her EVs, which would be the 2 Johtoons, the 2 Sinnohs, Sylveon, because of also Master ZX, and an actual Eevee. there's a likelihood that maybe Penny defeated Team Star on her own and she got her friends back without asking for anyone's help, which would be extremely tremendous for her character if that's to be the case. And she joined not the Elite Four, but helping them out to basically secure a more chairboard position for the school. And maybe her friends of Team Star, they are either in the school already reformed, or maybe some of them they probably went to study in Blueberry Academy as exchange students to, you know, make amends or something. There is potential here, and I want to see if the anime will tackle this instead of, you know, just raiding the bases and battling the Starmobiles, because at that point we were the villain. We were the ones bullying them and making them go back to school when they didn't want it, right? So maybe the anime realized this and they decided to ignore it, or they're going to circumvent it in another way. And I want to see how they do it. Because given how the Team Star arc is mainly told in flashbacks, I have no problems if Penny basically tells this story in flashbacks. Maybe in one episode, like how we had Sharon in Black and White 2, but not really. Because Sharon Best Wishes, it was given to Trip in terms of character basis. We could have several flashbacks for Penny, maybe going across 3 episodes, like how it happened with Iris, but it would be one after the other, not sporadically, because even Iris's character was told in retrospective flashbacks. I didn't talk about the Kanto evolutions because I think Penny is going to give those to Liko, Dot, and Roy. As for Liko, I can see Flareon because she has a very, you know, fiery personality, so Liko would have to, you know, try to calm down this Flareon. I think would be very cool. For Dot, it will be Jolteon because of, you know, database and electronics, right? And Roy, since he lived on an island, I feel like Vaporeon for him would be very fitting. And I think that's the case for Penny. I want to know how they're going to do it. Like, for all that we know, given how we went to Galar and we met Kabu, we could have, in theory, an arc where we meet Peony, her dad, we could meet her dad, the brother of Chairman Rose, and we know that in the Journeys anime, Chairman Rose went on a run and he was never arrested. So if this happens in the same universe, well, Horizons is giving more tribute to Gen 8 than Journeys did, besides the Sword and Shield arc in the Darkest Day. But if that's to be the case, if Horizons is actually a sequel to Scarlet and Violet, when it comes to the DLCs, I feel like maybe Cleavor, I don't know where Hantei is going to be realistically. We don't even know if it's an Hantei. It could be Gouging Fire, or it could be an anime exclusive future paradox named Iron Volcano or something. They can prepare something for Legends EA with this Hantei and we don't know. What we do know is that the Kalos Revisit made sense because Generations 2 and 5 are already sequel generations. From Gen 1 and from itself, they are complete. Gold, Silver, Crystal, Black, White, Black and White 2, and even Heart, Gold, Soul, Silver, they're complete. They don't really need revisits. Because if you revisit Johto again, you have to do the whole fauna issue and the level curve problem. If you were to revisit Unova, how would you do a game and a sequel in just one package? There is a way, and I'm going to discuss it on a later video, but that's a topic for another time. So, I have no idea what they're going to do with Entei. As for Cleavor, I can see Cleavor being in Kitakami, instead of being in, you know, the Blueberry Academy, or even in Johto or Sinnoh. It could be in Kitakami. It could be like a Blood Moon Pokemon, like Ursaluna is in the games. Maybe the kids will meet Carmine and only Carmine. I feel like the kids could only meet Carmine here. And if they do have another training arc in the Blueberry Academy, they could meet Kieran there. And Kieran in the anime actually befriended Ogerpon. And we could see a Kieran flashback story talking about how he and Ogerpon banded together to defeat Pecherant and the Loyal Tree. The idea of flashback episodes is not foreign. They did it with Murdoch in episode 20, and they did it with Freed in episode 18, and they are very solid episodes. They even do the cinematic panorama and all that stuff. So if they do it for Penny and Kieran to an extent, I think that will be great. Because we don't need to replicate the plots of the games. We just need like to learn a new perspective of how the events happened. Because it kind of paints Horizons as a what if series. Is very meta, because this is basically a what if Ash wasn't around, which will be the case. And now that the images are being here, Annihilate. Given how the kids battled this Annihilate, that kind of felt like a Titan, but not really, because we don't have Titans. And that's a topic that I want to talk about with Arven. Given how we had Annihilate here, and Eri is a trainer of Team Star with Annihilate, I think they did Annihilate here because they don't want to tackle Team Star. It was their way to say, hey, there's a Team Star ace here, they are not gonna tackle it the way you think. So going back to Arven. In episode 14, in the Lavencia arc, we saw Murdoch buying Herba Mystica in a Pokemart. Now, Herba Mystica only grew in Area 0, and they were very difficult to find and to plant in the actual outskirts of the crater. And they were consumed and protected by these Titan Pokemon, right? This is very Spice Trade themed with the whole treasure hunt aspect of Paldea. Now, for the Herba Mystica to actually be commonplace and for to be purchasable, this means that Arven probably already healed his Pokemon, he already went to face the Titans, and having access to the herbs, he found a way to make them more commonplace and profited out of that in terms of, making the people actually have access to these. Or maybe it's an unterrestrialized version of the Herba Mystica, and maybe the Herba Mystica itself, it's going to be analogued into the Rakurium that the Exceed Corporation and Gibbon of the Explorers want to profit. And even Spinel. The guy is not confirmed a trader, but he's having trader characteristics. I wonder if he's doing it on his own as a mad scientist, or if there's a third party besides the Explorers and the Volt Tacklers that we don't know. That would be very interesting if there was a third party. So, when it comes to this, let's say that Arven already went to his arc. How would have that been? Well, maybe Arven's team in the games is not the anime, sorry. Maybe Arven's anime team is not his game team. Maybe Arven's anime team are the Titans. Bombardier, it's dark flying. Dondozo is water and knows dragon moves. Earthworm is steel and Cloth is rock. Granted, I know he has a Mabostiff, but I feel like a Dash Bun would be more fitting because if he has Bombardier, it would make more sense to have Dash Bun as his Mon, because it's a pretzel dog, and Arven's whole thing is culinary and cooking and all of that. It would have made a lot sense, and that way you don't repeat types. And with that being the case, given how Dondozo is water and knows dragon moves, but he's not a dragon type, Arven's 6th Pokemon here would probably be Koraidon. His mom's Koraidon, no less. It would be the Winged King himself. Think about this team for Arven. Koraidon, Dash Bun, Bombardier, Cloth, Earthworm, and Dondozo is a very solid team for him to have. Speaking of Cloth, the kids went to the academy from not Route 3, sorry. I was thinking about my fanfic. They went from the cliff sides of Paldea where Cloth is, but Cloth wasn't around in this latest episode of Pokémon Horizons. They went to the cliffs where Cloth is, to the east of Messagosa, but Cloth wasn't there. So where the hell are the Titans, right? Maybe Arven caught them. And he probably went to the Area 0, but who helped him? Well, in the games, Arven needs trust from the protagonist, power from Nemona, and hacking skills from Penny. Who is the character that Arven could trust, is strong, and knows how to be tech savvy. His father, Professor Turo. My personal belief is that the professor who left Area Zero, the other Arven parent, was the one that gave the indigo disc to Gita. It was, the one that gave access to it. So I would like to imagine an Arven movie or Arven specials like how Halan had, or maybe something Amazon Prime like the Etran Arceus Chronicles, or even like a red film like how Origins was. I feel like this would be very profitable. Imagine, for example, do you want to know Arven's story in the Gen 9 anime? Pay-per-view it. Either go to the theaters or purchase it on Amazon Prime. But these 4 episodes, this hour and a half, it's not going to be the same as you experience in the games. If anything, it's going to be better. Because Arven does it on his own. He makes amends with his dad. He goes to Area Zero in this Naranja Academy universe and he battles the past Paradox Pokémon and basically saves, defeats the AI of his mom alongside his father. And for all we know, perhaps Arven at this point during Horizons, he's not even in Paldea anymore. He could be in Kalos, he could be in Blueberry Academy, he could be in Kitakami, he could be anywhere. There is no guarantee because he went, in the games, Arven went on a hunt for the herbs, and since he's a upperclassman of ours, that hunt was what prevented him from graduating because he didn't have enough credits. Now, when it comes to the teachers, we do have Gita as a chairperson, and we had Clavel, Jacques, Dendra, and Hassel of the Elite Four. There are teachers left. There's Nurse Miriam, Rayford, Saguaro, and Salvatore. There's 4 teachers. What I would like to imagine for this Arven hypothetical story would be for, Bombardier, instead of being on that place where Chien-Pao is, Bombardier would be around the crater and throwing boulders to the school grounds. And Arven would defeat this Bombardier on his own with the help of Koraidon. And then when he goes to the other Titans, these 4 other teachers and Nurse Miriam, who could probably be a healthcare teacher at this point, given how we had her social link, Persona-esque side quest in the games. Maybe instead of the player character, the teachers are the ones that help Arven out. And I think this would be very amazing. When it comes to the Pokemon from Professor Sada and Turo would have Miraidon. It would be the only future Paradox Pokemon that Turo would have. Sada would still have her team. As for the beasts, I don't know, but she would have her main team in the games. The Area Zero will probably be, circled with... honestly, that would be the case. We have the teachers to help with the 4 Titans, like maybe Miriam in the school helps with Bombardier, and then Rayford, Saguaro, and Salvatore help them out with the other 3. The 5th one would be the Paradox Donphan, and that's where Turo helps him out to defeat Paradox Donphan, and then they would go to the lighthouse, and then it would go to the Area Zero. This is an amazing fanfiction, I'm loving it. But this could explain why Arven isn't around, and there's like only a 0.07% chance of what I'm saying actually happens, which I really, really doubt. But I think it would be very cool, don't you agree? And as for Turo's Pokemon, I feel like Turo would have, Miraidon, and he would probably have Iron Treads because of the Great Tusk in the desert. His other 4 Pokemon would not be Paradoxes, like in the games. I feel like Turo's other 4 Pokemon, they would probably be the Ruinous Treasures. I would like to imagine the Ruinous Treasures battling the past Paradoxes, so it's basically things from the past that shouldn't exist, and things from the past that exist but not in our past. It's like a story legacy type of battle. But I would like to see the Ruinous Treasures in the actual main anime. Either do a movie about them, because Pokemon movies don't tackle game plots, or maybe tackle the Ruinous Treasures as a sequel to the plot of Lucius and Rakua. For all that we know, maybe Rakua could be like the Tree of Life from movie 8, the Lucario movie, and the Ruinous Treasures are there to, protect Rakua as guardians, like the Regis in movie 8. I think that would be very cool. But yeah, as for now, I think this is what I would like to tackle. Like, how Horizons is going amazingly, by the way, and how I feel that what the anime could do for Penny now that she's around, and what the anime could extrapolate for Arven given his absence. And the utilization of flashback episodes, maybe those could work in some way, shape or form. So that's what I would like to imagine, but I would like to know your thoughts on this as well. So trainers, thank you so much for listening and for staying tuned. Make sure to leave a like, share, comment and subscribe, and I will see you another time. Kuroblitz out.